Hey, everybody. That's right, man. Welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz, episode 65, brought to you by AMS Pro-Staffers and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
How's it going, Schmitty?
It's going good, but I'm not going to lie to you. I say this every time we have a podcast. That number, to me, is crazy. I can't believe we've done 65 episodes. It feels like we started this a month ago.
5 years, Schmitty, we've been doing them.
Oh, my God. That makes me feel old when you say
And I know,
that.
like, the third year, we only had, like, 3 or 4 podcasts that year. And we really, we were just kind of...
Getting our feet wet with it.
But we made a commitment, last year.
Yep.
Hey, we need to do these more, in a row, more consistent.
Yeah.
And we hope that you listeners appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know?
I've actually got a fun little stat, too. And I remember you mentioned that 1 year we didn't have many of them. You remember what that year consisted of? It was the COVID year.
Yeah, that was weird.
We couldn't get parts in the shop. When we would get them in, we had 11 orders that we had to fill. So it was literally, it wasn't for lack of wanting to do it. It was just you and I physically did not have time.
Yeah,
we were out building reels and bows and
we were on the assembly
stuff
line.
like that. Right. Yeah. Right. But yesterday, this is actually kind of funny. We had I guess I won't mention the name. I'll just say that we had somebody on the podcast here, a couple, it was this year, I think, but earlier on in the podcast. And he works at a business that does some like metal fabrication type stuff there. And he was contacted by somebody at his job that they wanted to do a job for him. And the guy said, we learned about you guys from the Bowfishing Buzz podcast.
Isn't that cool?
So that was very cool. And then this... we both know. Well, we know Tim. Tim used to work here, and I was talking to him last week, and he was talking about that, and I said, "Oh, that's really cool." And he asked me, he says, "Oh, how big has the podcast got?" That's crazy that this guy who he found out about his company through our podcast, and I told him, I said, "Well, we got an email from Buzzsprout, which is our distribution network for our podcast. It puts it out on Spotify and Apple and Google Podcasts, wherever you might listen to them." And we got an email I think it was right around the Christmas time frame, saying that we were like in the top 15% of all listened to podcasts.
Right.
And that blew my mind at that point. I don't know if we ever brought it up on the podcast. Maybe we did, but Tim's like, no way. I don't believe it at all. So then that got me thinking a little bit. So I did some digging yesterday, actually. And based off of our download numbers over the last 30 days, we are 100%. We can confidently say that we are in the top 15% of all listened to podcasts that are out there right now. So that goes to a huge thank you to all of you guys.
That's right.
I mean, that is amazing. A little two dorks talking about bowfishing.
Hey, that's our new name. Two dorks talking about
dorks. But I mean, that's spectacular. So shout out to you guys for listening to us. We have a blast doing it. But yeah, I just wanted to start the podcast with that little statistic. I think that's pretty darn cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing that if our listeners could do to help us improve on everything like that is give us a rating.
Yeah.
On podcasts, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or wherever you listen to the Bowfishing Buzz.
Yeah.
Give us a little thumbs up with a star rating and a little review.
Right.
That just helps us get our podcast out there to even more reach.
Right.
There as well.
I was looking at that too, and we don't want to be asking you guys to do this stuff, but we would appreciate it if you guys listen to it and do it. That'll help us. Like if you go on Apple Podcasts and you search bowfishing or even like hunting or fishing, we'll just be able to climb to the top of that list, because right now, you might have some podcasts that aren't listened to as much as we are. Correct. But they have some higher ratings of the people who have listened, so then they're gonna land above us in the search column and whatnot.
Right.
So that would just kind of help us for our search tactics on those networks. So yeah, if you guys like it, throw a rating on there. We'd very much appreciate it, and we thank you guys for getting us to where we're at today.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
We love doing it, and we're glad that you guys listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I look for, like I've said in the past, it's like an hour that we get to get away from normal work. We get to come up here and talk. So
that's right. And of course, this will also be available on our YouTube channel, the video portion of this as well.
Yep, video portion, and also on Carbon TV. We've got those up there as well, along with our episodes there. So we're everywhere for you.
Skipping ahead here, Schmitty. Just speaking of Carbon TV, the president of Carbon TV, Julie McQueen. Okay,
amazing name. Just throw that in there. Yep. What a name.
She's really good friends with Jana Waller from Skullbound Chronicles, who has a great show.
Oh yeah,
great show.
Yep, second.
And I get to go on a couple trips, once a year with Jana on a bowfishing trip, and we film it and stuff, and we just have a good time. We're actually going to be heading out to Delaware next month, Schmitty.
I bet you I know who you're going to meet up with out there.
I'll give you one guess.
Babe Winkleman. No, you're going out there with the bowfishing guru, Corey Brossman, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Yes,
That's
we
awesome.
Are. Yep, and we're going to be doing some filming out there. Jan actually called me a couple months ago and says, hey, I want to get Julie McQueen in a bowfishing, get her on the water, do some bowfishing and stuff. And I was like, I'm kind of busy right now. And the spawn was kind of tapering off, and you want to get a first timer where they can, really have fun and experience it. And I said, our spawn is really tapered off now. We're kind of in the dog days here in Wisconsin. We tried to get hooked up in Kentucky when I was down there for the Jared Ashmore, but the dates just didn't work out with Jana and stuff. So everything worked out good here in August. So we're going to be going out there and we're going to be filming for some, cow nose rays, southerns. Hopefully we get on some big butterfly ray.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then we're also going to show you how we fillet them up and how we prepare them for the grill because they are fantastic.
Yeah, that's what
they're fantastic.
You got to bring some of that back here.
No.
Oh, okay. Because you guys send pictures of one. It's like, oh, my God, that looks delicious.
I'm going to have Corey, we'll have to, set some on some dry ice and fly back with some meat because it's great. I wish you guys could all try it because it's amazing. People don't realize how good it is.
Yeah, right.
But to me, going on a trip like that, Derek, is going on just like any big game hunt. If you were to go out west on an elk hunt, you're going out there to harvest that and to shoot that elk, and you're going to bring the meat back with you to eat.
Yep.
This stingray trip is no different.
Yeah.
We're going out there to shoot some stingrays, flay them up, eat them, bring the meat back with us. It's good stuff. Yeah. It's no different to me. And people always think that bow fishing is so different that way, but it's not.
Yeah.
To me, it's not any different. It's no different if you go down to Texas and shoot an alligator gar.
Right.
You're going to flay that up and bring that meat back with you because it's awesome meat.
Yeah. I know that just brings you back a little bit, Matt. Last year we were at the Bass Pro tournament and they had a little booth set up. Now I will say, if you were to clean these fish, you got to do it a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more cautious when you're doing it. You're going to want to get them on ice right away. Yeah. Maybe fillet them out right away, get the fillet on ice type of deal. But they had a little vendor down there, and I think they had common, buffalo, and gar.
Yes.
Little bits deep fried. I'm not lying to you. If you would have a piece of a perch and you'd mix in a bunch of common and buffalo bites to go along with it, it would be hard to tell which one was which. It was very good when they fried them up. Yeah, little deep fried bites. It was good stuff.
Perch are pretty darn good.
Perch are pretty good. I mean, maybe you'd be able to tell, but it wasn't like you'd eat it and you go, oh.
Right.
It was like, oh, yeah.
And it tastes good. Each fish is different because, like the carp, are bottom feeders.
Right.
All right. You really got to get that mud line out of there because that is so fishy and awful.
Right. You got to clean that out.
Yeah. Yep. And you take like a big heart. Big heart's a plankton eater, surface feeder. He doesn't have much of that in there. He does have a little bit of a bloodline though.
Yeah.
He's got that in there.
Yep.
But you flayed out, and their meat is so different compared to a carp. A big head is just white.
Yeah.
Super white. Yeah. Where carp is that yellowish.
Yep. You get that little bit of that bloody tinge to it.
Yes.
A little bit of mud color to it. But yeah, prepared right, it can be very very
give it a try.
Good. Yeah.
Give it a try. You never know. You know.
Yep.
Give it a try out there. So, Schmitty, we've got a little bit of news, but then speaking of Texas, we have a guest on.
Yes, we do.
Today from Texas.
Yep.
Who do we have on, Schmitty?
We got Robert Blackburn. I believe he was on episode 25, did you say earlier?
That is
we
correct.
had him on, a couple of years ago now.
2 years ago.
The name of that podcast was called Safety, Safety, Safety.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Robert had an incident that we'll get more into again. We'll kind of rehash that. But he had an issue where he ended up getting injured pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
So he's going to walk us through that a little bit more when he's on today. But yeah, he'll be a great guest to have on.
And the reason that we had him on is because he had his injury back in April of 2021, I believe.
Yep.
And we just want to see, the steps to where he is at now.
Right.
In bow fishing.
Right.
How he had to get back into the process of it. He's got a prosthetic eye now. Yep. And kind of the steps that it took to get back on the water.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be kind of cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. But Matt, I see we got some on our list here. We've got the BAA Worlds bid. They got to be in by August 15th.
Right.
What have you heard as far as some of the buzz of areas that people are wanting the Worlds to be at?
I'm seeing a lot of talk on Kentucky.
Okay.
I saw a couple in there in Florida.
Oh, Florida.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
I also had a couple comments about here in Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
I heard some comments about South Dakota.
Okay.
But I think Lance Wheeler said no.
Okay. Gotcha.
Respectively, no.
Yep.
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 Because it's a lot of work. But yeah, if you want to put a bid in to host the Worlds for next year, you have to submit that by August 15th. You have to have a team. You have to have a whole complete letter written up of location, red zones, people working it, how you're going to dispose of the fish, everything.
A proposal.
A proposal.
Yep.
Yep. By August 15th. So if you want to host a big tournament, now is your chance to shine, baby.
Let me ask you this, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, you just listed off those couple states. I think you said, what did you say? Florida, Kentucky, Wisconsin, South Dakota? Were those the 4 that you just have
Those
heard?
are some of the ones that I've been hearing. Mississippi was in there also.
Okay, so say let's have those 5. All
Yeah.
right. And take all of your past, like the fact that they don't want it in South Dakota, whatever. If you had to pick your perfect scenario, which one of those 5 states would you personally want that to be in? Would you have any bias to have it in your home state? Would you not want to have it in Wisconsin? What's your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't mind it being in Wisconsin on the Mississippi River.
Sure.
It was fun, that one. I believe it was back in 2015.
Okay, gotcha.
They had it down in Prairie du Chien on the Mississippi River.
Gotcha.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Florida, that's just I have no idea what, as far as rules and regulations go down there, what it would be like.
Sure.
Because of the population.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I never bowfished Florida, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
What that would be like.
Never bowfished it for fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. South Dakota was a lot of fun, but I don't know if they want to do it again there, or
right?
Not, but I don't know what their situation is. But
and you've got a
fine.
soft spot in your heart for the state of Kentucky too.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yep. I love Kentucky. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work to put on a tournament like that.
Oh yeah, more than
It's a lot of work.
What all goes into that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
But yeah, Wisconsin would be nice again.
would be
It was
kinda
fun
cool.
on the Mississippi River,
Yeah.
and I think that people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a great time. There was some good fish shot.
Sure.
So that would be a good spot.
Yeah, maybe it would broaden the horizons of some people that maybe would come up here and shoot and see our waters and be like, oh, I'm coming up here for the Big 20.
Right.
I'm going to shoot 2 tournaments up here.
Because I believe in 2015, it was on the Mississippi River here in Wisconsin in Prairie du Chien.
Yep.
And then like a couple years later, I don't know if it was the following year, a couple years later, then John Alaska had it in Minnesota on the Mississippi River again as well.
I gotcha. Yep.
So, and that was a year they had like 100 and it was like the record that they set for teams that got into the
hosted in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Midwest, can't beat it.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of shooting some tournaments, Matt, why don't you just tell everybody we've got some certified big fish killers on the AMS Pro-Staffs. You just want to talk about what a couple of your buddies did this past
weekend? I got to give a little shout out. I saw there was quite a few tournaments going on. You had the Oklahoma State Championship. You had the Wildwood Big Ten.
Okay, sure.
There was one on the Mississippi River here in Minnesota, Wisconsin. But I got to give a little love to a couple AMS teams, Schmitty.
Gotcha.
A couple pro staff teams. First, we have Lance Brantley, Noah Brewer, David Waddell, and Gunnar Hagen from Team On Track. They won the Shooters Big 15 with a weight of 577.8 pounds, along with big fish that weighed 67 pounds. That's not a bad average. I mean, that's a 38.5 pound average.
That's the thing. Big 15 with a weight of 577.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You
Big
bet.
67-pound tank. Oh, my gosh.
And if you listened to a couple of podcasts earlier this year, you know that was the same team that won the Bass Pro US Open. It was Team On Track with Captain Lance Brantley. We had him on as a guest, in fact.
Yep.
So, yeah, good job to them. But how about Team Descalin, Schmitty?
Man, oh, man. Can't beat him.
No.
Can't beat him.
You got Ryan Devine, Tyler Devine, Sawyer York, and Travis Spiceland winning their third Muzzy Classic with a Big 20 weight of 469.5 pounds.
Do we still have the congratulation button on there?
There we go.
There we go. Well done, guys. Nice shooting. That is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Gotta give a little love to those guys.
Oh,
because
heck yeah.
They do a lot of work. They do a lot of scouting. I've been out with Lance Brantley, and he does, he's on the water a lot.
Yeah.
The guy does not sleep.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, then he must be crazy. For you to say he doesn't sleep, he must literally
does
not
not
sleep
sleep.
because you don't
Yeah.
sleep.
Yep.
So, oh, yeah. But I got some other stuff going on here, Matt. That's awesome. Those guys, we appreciate them doing what they do. They're obviously, they're certified killers.
Yeah,
No way around it.
I called and talked to Ryan
Yep.
from Team Descalin on Sunday morning after weigh-ins, and he was excited that they won, of course. He was really excited about that. But he was more jacked up. He goes, "This is the third time we won the Muzzy Classic."
Oh, yeah.
He was excited about that.
Yep.
And nice thing is, they're from Kentucky, and the tournament was down in Alabama, in Gunnersville, and up and on some of the rivers down there and stuff. So, and I did talk to him a little bit, and he said our night did not start out like we usually do tournaments. We struggled, and we said if we need to, we're going to need to make a change if something's going to happen. And they made a change, and it worked out the best. And he said we hardly ever do something like that during a tournament.
They're usually pretty scheduled, agendaed out what they're going to do, and they had to kind of make a quick run there,
which they hardly ever do. So hats off to those guys for making a change and making it happen.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. That's awesome.
Yep.
Something else for everybody to be on the lookout here. There's going to be a little bit of change of scenery around the AMS shop here soon. Last week, I think starting even this week, Matt, you were stripping off the old wrap on the boat, and we're going to get a new wrap put on the boat. I think Jordan's coming tomorrow. We're going to put that on there, so be on the lookout for that. I'm sure we'll make some posts about it on Facebook, social media. That's going to look pretty darn sharp.
I'll pull the boat in tomorrow to the bigger end of the shop there, and we'll do a little time lapse of them putting the wrap on.
Oh, yeah. Like that's always cool.
Yeah, it's always neat to see that in a time lapse stuff. The movement of
very satisfying.
Yeah, it's
to
pretty
watch
cool
it all go on.
So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
New boat wrap.
Yep.
And I just got to give a little shout out to a kid that I met 2 years ago.
Okay.
When I was out with Corey Brosman shooting stingrays.
Okay.
Colin.
Young man. Okay, yep. I think he was on some Carbon TV episodes and whatnot. Yep.
Young man that was on Corey's boat, and he helped us out, and his bow blew up and it fell all apart, and he was just outgrowing his bow. So on the show, we presented him with the new AMS Hooligan V2,
nice.
a new bow, a new setup like that there. And yesterday, Corey Brosman sent me a video for the night before. Colin stuck a stingray with his new V2.
Heck yes.
Yeah. And he turns around and he goes, "Thanks, Matt."
He had to say it quick and get back to the action.
Thanks, Matt.
Oh, how cool is that?
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, and it'll be neat to see Colin again when I get out there. He's a special kid. He's a great kid, and he loves helping Corey down there. And he's really cool to have on camera.
Sure,
he's a cool kid.
That's awesome. That's cool to see that go full circle.
Yeah,
you're down there shooting fish with them, shooting rays with them, and you give him a bow, and now he's shooting rays with that bow. That's awesome. Well done, Colin. Nice shooting. Nice shooting.
So I think, Schmitty, after this break, I think we will give Robert Blackburn a call from Texas.
Sounds good.
All right, be right back after this break.
This is Megamouth. It's the first free-spooling spin-cast-style bow fishing reel. It's ready to shoot. No button to push.
Yes.
You engage the reel by pulling the T-bar. Megamouth is built for bow fishing. It's tough. Dual stainless steel and brass gears. 3 heavy-duty axial pins. A no-fail anti-reverse. An unmatched 28 inches of line per crank. And a 3-year warranty. Megamouth, the professional bow fishing reel.
Robert Blackburn on the phone from Texas. Thanks for joining us, Robert. How's things down in Texas right now?
Pretty hot and muggy, but probably everyone can say that right now.
Yes.
Yep.
Are you pretty dry down there too, Robert? Have you had a lot of rain, or is it pretty dry?
We haven't really. I don't think the last time it actually rained here probably first part of April, maybe May.
Oh my!
So yeah, we're in a drought, but it's typical Texas. It comes and goes. If it ain't flooding, it's dry, and it's the end of time, and then it'll come in a monsoon and be back flooded everywhere again.
Well, we can't complain then too bad up here. I mean, we're pretty dry. We've been getting some rain over this last week, but up in the last month and a half have been brutally dry. But
yeah.
Not no rain since April. That's crazy. Good Lord.
Wow. Well, Robert, thanks for joining us today. Yeah. To the listeners that haven't listened in some of our past episodes, you were on episode 25 2 years ago, Robert.
Yep.
You had a bow fishing accident on the water in April of that year. And we just kind of wanted to give our listeners and have you kind of tell us about that night and what happened. And kind of, the steps that it took for you to get back into bow fishing and kind of like where you're at right now. So, first of all, we're super glad that everything turned out good for you, Robert,
right.
like we said in the past episodes. But you just kind of want to tell our listeners, Robert, kind of what happened, 2 years ago on that April night when you were out bow fishing?
Yeah. So, local lake I live on, I fish it some, but I mainly use it to test boats and stuff for work and whatnot. But, we was out fishing because the fish were spawning, gar were spawning, and all that. And I was out fishing and ended up having at the time was shooting tide back and had a snapback and, not shooting a safety slide, tying to the back with a fishing reel. And the line ended up tying around the bowstring as I shot. I consider it the mystery knot.
Yep.
Because you never know how it kind of happens. And anyways, arrow snapped back into my eye, and I ended up, shooting my eye out. Kind of, Christmas story, I guess you'd consider it.
Wow.
And, so I ended up having to drive back to the boat ramp, call an ambulance and all that, call my family, let them know what was going on. And ended up getting airlifted and all that good stuff, transferred to a hospital, and went into emergency surgery. And, had one surgery that first night. They tried to salvage my eye, ended up losing my cornea, my retina, my iris, and my retina was just detached. And so, ultimately, I was as blind as you could be. And
wow.
I think the surgeon said it was the worst eye accident she's seen, which, of course, I found out the next morning when I woke up. But I solely expected when I woke up that next day that I didn't have my eye. And they said, yeah, we still left it in there. We're going to try to see if we can get you to have some vision. And I went to probably 4 or 5 more weeks of physical therapy and all the testing and all that for them to tell me, yeah, you're blind. You won't be able to see. So I ended up having to, I guess someone pulled up to my shop. Hold on a second. Hey, I'm in a podcast. I can't really talk right now. Yeah, you can park it right there. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, small business perks, I guess you'd say. Got people dropping boats off. Yeah, because this drought was in. Anyways, so I had they did the initial surgery to try to salvage it. It wasn't salvageable, so I opted to have my eye removed just for health reasons. Your white blood cells in your body can attack. They consider an eye to be foreign body because your eye is sealed. So once your eye is ruptured, your white blood cells will attack it, and I had a pretty high chance of losing my left eye, my good eye as well. So I opted to remove it just before I, was blind in both eyes because it's not about that life.
Wow. Let me ask you this, Robert. I know we probably talked about it on the previous episode, but was there ever any worry that it would get, like when that arrow shaft came back, that it would go past your eye and affect like your brain at all? Was that ever a thought process?
Granted, when it happened, I didn't really think much of it other than, hey, I probably should get to the hospital. But I got airlifted because they couldn't determine how far that arrow went into my face.
Gotcha.
And after we went through the MRI and all of the scans that they did, they determined it was 3 millimeters from hitting my brain, which is, that's too close for comfort.
Oh, yeah.
And, the back of your eye socket kind of like funnels, and your retina goes through it to the brain. So, got pretty lucky there, honestly. One of them things where if I drew back a little bit more or shot a little bit more poundage, might have ended a little differently. All these variables, how that goes.
Right.
But
that's unreal.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Ended up getting implants. I got the eye removed, had to heal up some more. Had some plastic surgery done and all that. Had a prosthetic molded to fit my face, and heck, that was back in August. And it probably took 6 months for everything to really heal and it not be swollen and look relatively normal. And it really took about a year for it to be where you can't tell.
Oh,
so,
really?
You really can't. Yeah. So it's somewhat often people don't know, that I've lost an eye until I say something, and then they get caught off guard. So it'd be crazy, what a hand painted eyeball does nowadays. I wouldn't have much faith in someone painting an eyeball.
Wow.
And Bob Rossed it up pretty good.
Wow.
That's cool.
Now, Robert, you wear glasses now, correct?
I wear some Oakley, prescription quality glasses, mainly as a safety deterrent, just because I've only got one eye.
Okay.
I still have excellent vision in my left eye, but I'm just mainly concerned. Obviously, I don't want to lose another one, but also anticipating that if my vision does start to fade, or I'm already, prepped for glasses. But anytime I'm fishing or hunting or doing anything, I'm always going to be wearing glasses just for the safety side of things, which, it took a little bit of adjusting to get used to that. But honestly, heck, all my, employees that work for me now, they all wear their safety and PPE and all that at work. And after about a week of them working with glasses, now they're kind of I won't say scared, but if they are not wearing glasses, they're like, I need my glasses. You know,
Yep.
Kind of a weird deal how that goes. Once you're used to it, it's not that bad, honestly.
Sure.
But,
sure. Because the reason I was asking that, Robert, because I was just curious, did you wear prescription glasses before the accident?
I did not. No, I actually had 20/10 vision, come to find out.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So the accident happens, Robert, in April of 21. And then there's a long time where you're taking care of your wound and stuff. Mm-hmm. When did you get back into bow fishing after the accident, Robert?
The next weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I guess so there wasn't very long of a layover there.
Wow,
then.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, so I got cleared and sent home the next day after the initial surgery, the night after the accident. And they told me wasn't allowed to lift anything over 25 pounds for like the next month.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's kind of ironic because, my bow that I was shooting numbers mainly is at 24 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So how does that work?
Oh.
And of course, I went to one of the best eye specialists in the United States by chance. They were in Austin. Well, because it's Austin, Texas, they don't have much sense of hunting and fishing or anything. So I kind of had to explain what I was doing. And they were like, well, it's not like you're really fatiguing your body and your eye's already damaged, so you really can't get it that much worse. So they cleared me the next 2 days later to start shooting my bow because I was curious. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I think 3 days after the initial accident, I was out shooting my bow into a target just to see how that was going to be. And, because like I said, I was curious, pretty life-changing event. I wanted to know if I was even able to, draw a bow back and shoot and see. And,
Right.
It was a weird times. You're trying to figure out what you can and can't do that looks different. Cause even though you still got one eye, some things that you're using depth perception or, if you have a dominant eye, now that you don't have it does change how things look, and whatnot. And so then they cleared me to do that. And then after the next weekend, I already had 2 or 3 checkups and they cleared me to go back to, light duty work and whatnot, as long as I didn't bend over too long or anything like that to add pressure to my eye. And I went fishing that next weekend, which,
wow,
all my family and all my friends, they thought I was crazy and they tried to tell me no. And I was like, I need to know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Get back out there and get after it. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
What I like to do. And, ultimately wanted to know if I needed to take up golf or something.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep. So I'm just curious, Robert, did you try shooting left-handed because you are a right-handed shooter? Did you try any of that stuff?
I did. Ironically, the large majority of my intermediate family is all left-hand dominant, and I'm left-hand dominant as well naturally. But I was right-eye dominant, so I shot a bow and a gun right-handed.
Okay.
So I said, man, I'll give it a try. So I grabbed one of my family's, left-handed fishing bows, and I think I tried it for a max of 15 or 20 minutes, and was like, nah, this isn't it. If I can't do this right-handed, I don't want to do it at all.
Right.
Just wasn't comfortable, wasn't really what I wanted to do, and I've been fishing since 2007 or so. So, I got 15, 16 years of fishing right-handed. It was too much of a learning curve in my opinion to just all of a sudden switch. And
yeah.
So I stuck with the right-handed, and I still have my struggles shooting, but it's gotten significantly better. I'm getting close to back to where I used to be able to shoot.
Sure. So I'm just curious of what does your field of vision look like right now, Robert, when you are looking in the water, and what does your field of vision look like, just so we can kind of see what might be the results of an accident like this, right, if this were happen to you?
Well, right after the week after I got cleared, I went out fishing and everything was dim or dimmer at dark. During the day, the vision really didn't seem to change other than like just a field of view loss. Mm-hmm. But it was almost like wearing sunglasses at night the first probably 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
A lot of it was just eye fatigue and all of that. That kind of straightened out and it kind of come back together, and my body adjusted, and it was back to normal, as you'd say. But realistically speaking, if I'm looking at something, anything past probably 2:30 or 3 o'clock on my right hand side, it does not exist to me because I can't see it. So ultimately, got to keep my head turned and double check and try to look where I can't see. But it is funny. We'll be fishing tournaments and whatnot. My teammates be yelling at me because there's a fish just to the right of me that I do not see. And they'll be laughing at me because they're like, hey dude, there's a fish right there, and they'll be saying some non-choice words, of course, but and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, there's a fish right there.
Sure. So
appreciate it.
When you're saying that, when you're shooting a tournament like that, there's some. Do you prefer to sit like on the left side of the boat or the right side of the boat, or are you driving?
I mean, they tend to drive. I don't like to drive the boat if I ain't got to, because they like to yell at me and whatnot. I'm just the passenger seat princess, as I call it, and in the snacks or whatever. But no, I tend, because I'm also half the size of all my teammates, because I'm borderline midget. I like to sit dead center in the front of the boat, in between the steer stick and whoever's shooting to the right of me. So I'm pretty much dead center of the boat at the front of the light rail. It kind of fits there the best. So, like I said, all my other teammates are 6 foot to 6'4" and 220, 250 pounds, and I'm like 5'6", 5'7", and 135 soaking wet.
Yep.
I get to sit in right there and ain't got to worry about no one, tripping over me. So ultimately, it just kind of works out best. But if I get stuck on the right-hand side of the boat there in the corner, like the toe kick, a fish or two might get by me and I not even know they were there, and they'd be yelling at me. So try to stick in where I can see. But it did make an interesting dynamic probably the first 6 to 8 months, just because, having to learn everything.
Sure.
That's interesting.
Granted, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, Robert. I was just curious if you have another thought on that. Please finish it. But I was just curious. So the prosthetic eye that you have, like, what material is it made out of? Like, how easy is it to put it in? Just, you want to give us a little bit of an overview on what that's all about?
Yeah. So I originally, after my second surgery, which included the removal of the eye and the implant, the plastic surgery implant correction, where they basically sewed a 20 millimeter acrylic ball into my eye muscles, inside behind where my eye would be. And that filled out the eye cavity so that the prosthetic would be able to pivot and turn and move, pretty much be relatively comparable to a normal eye. So I don't have a lazy eye, if that makes sense.
Yep, sure.
But
sure.
The prosthetic is also acrylic, but it's kind of molded. It's molded to fit my face and my eye, or where my eye was in the eye socket. But it is in comparative reasons, or thinking, it's like a thick contact lens.
Okay.
It kind of shaped the same way. But they sprayed like a memory foam into my eye socket to get a mold, and then they reverse cast off of that some acrylic, and then they just start polishing and shape it to fit. And once they get it shaped to fit, they will turn around and start painting it and whatnot.
Wow.
It was a pretty interesting deal. But ultimately, I can take it out whenever I need to and clean it, or if I've got something in there, or, something's happening, or, people like y'all, if y'all ask me in person, I can pop it out and get the wow factor and whatnot. But,
sure.
Realistically speaking, it could stay in until it comes out for cleaning once every 6 months. It's low maintenance. And it's not like the Pirates of the Caribbean where, my eye falls out and it's like a marble and it rolls around the boat.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. No.
Yeah, it like I said, it's almost like a plastic spoon, or a contact lens is how I always explain it. And, I think I paid $8,000 for it, which, sounds pricey. But when you see how they do it and whatnot, and, it's a pretty extensive process, surprisingly. I figured they'd like 3D print it or something, but no, they hand make it, and they paint it and everything. It'd be pretty interesting how they do it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And like I said, it's molded to fit my face, and they keep my mold on file. So if, like, say I lost it or something happened, they can make me another one, which is pretty neat.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So I just have to ask, Robert, with the safety part of it, when you're going back out at nighttime, now you're bow fishing, are you shooting with slides now?
Yeah, so ironically, I grew up shooting slides, early 2000s. I mean, y'all's product got pretty popular, in my opinion. And, there had been some snapbacks with some family, friends, and whatnot before. Nothing major, but, and so everyone switched to slides, and I got started shooting slides. And, I shot slides all the way up till probably 2 years before my accident. And then just the event of trying different things, I started shooting tied to the back. And it would depend on what waters we were fishing, whether we would fish tied to the back or shoot slides. And, the night of my accident, I was just shooting tied to the back,
Yep.
and one of them things where it is what it is. There's a lot of people that shoot tied to the back and have great success. And heck, until I had my accident, I was on the bandwagon. And then, I had my accident and, I spent probably 2 or 3 weeks trying to figure out exactly how it happened and why it happened and how to prevent it. And, a lot of people kind of partial against not wanting to shoot a safety slide, and that's on them. But, we shoot slides for all of our fish, numbers and gator gar and, all the spectrums of fish. And
yep.
I don't see really any negative impacts to not using them. That's me. I swear by them.
Yep, exactly.
We've killed 5 fish over 200 pounds this year, gator gar wise. Have not broken a slide. I've lost many a fish shooting tied to the back, pulling on them so hard it breaks the line just because of the pinch point. So that alone right there is worth it on top of the safety factor, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And, one thing that I have never really done, since I've been working here at AMS for 16 years, is I've never really told people what to shoot as far as gear and equipment. That's not my job. My job here is to promote AMS. But that's one of the things, as far as like a reel. I've never really told people what to shoot as reels and stuff. I just promote what we sell. But the safety slide is one of the things that I say I will never shoot an arrow without a safety slide because we only have 2 eyes. Yeah. And what you were saying before, now you got prescription glasses and you're wearing glasses a lot now because now you only have one good eye left. So the safety slide is one of the features that I recommend that everybody shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
and the sad deal is realistically, wearing safety glasses is probably not the coolest thing, and finding some that don't fog up and don't scratch, and you don't forget them at the house or forget them in your truck at the boat launch. It's a little bit of a hassle remembering. I won't lie to you.
Yep. But
and at what point wearing safety glasses, shooting a safety slide, wearing your life jacket, wearing your seatbelt, all of these things, an accident can happen anywhere.
Right.
So, one of them things where you can't always avoid it, and you don't, there's a lot of things that we do that aren't safe that are safe until we get hurt. We can all agree with that, but in my opinion, shooting a safety slide is not a inconvenience enough for me to risk having something happen.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
There's a lot of misconceptions with shooting tied to the back, and I don't want to claim to be an expert on it, but I've done hours and hours of shooting through a hooter shooter on slow motion video to look at the frames per second to see what caused the knot to start, and tried it with different reels. Just ultimately, not so much that want to know why it happened, but is it preventable and what causes it? So because there's been I think my accident brought some other accidents to the public.
Right.
My accident kind of went viral, and other people that have had some similar deals, and there's been a few people that claim to have a snapback with a slide and a retriever, but it's not really a snapback. The line getting caught on something outside the retriever,
right.
Anything like that. And so basically, just trying to come out with, hey, this is why it happened to me. This is how I think you can avoid it. Make the best decisions.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I won't lie. I'm over here preaching to wear a safety slide, but I only wear a life jacket. I think I can wear a life jacket. It's probably not the safest thinking right there, and it's flawed, but it is what it is.
Exactly. Yep.
But
yep. So now you're back just normal bow fishing. You're competing in tournaments and everything right now, Robert?
Yeah, actually, we'll probably leave in a couple of days. We've got the Cajun Classic in South Louisiana this next coming week.
Okay.
We will be leaving for that, fish that, and then in August we'll have Arkansas State, which is another very competitive tournament. Out of the tournaments and the stuff, anything below, I'd say probably Kentucky. There's, those are one of the hardest two to win, just because of competition. So that and like South Carolina State or Georgia State would be in my opinion, the top 4 tournaments that, that it's hard to beat. Pretty much the Cajuns this year is going to be kind of a repeat of how Worlds went last year. similar locations, similar formats and water levels, and all of the same competition for the most part will be there. So it'll be it's not an easy tournament to win. There's a lot of bragging rights if you win this.
That's cool. Yep. So are you shooting are you shooting numbers tournaments yet, or are you shooting in Big 20 division?
No, we shoot numbers.
Okay.
We've only entered in one Big 20 tournament, and that was RCC 2 years ago. And we shot the numbers and the Big 20 division. But we're the team that I fish with. We're primarily numbers or nothing kind of mentality. That's just what we like to do.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. This has been the year of the big fish, as we call it, on our fun fishing adventures and whatnot for gator gar and big heads and all that.
Gotcha.
Tournament wise, we're number shooters.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So you're down in Texas. You sent me a couple pictures of some big gator gar that you had shot this year. You've got big buffs down there. But I think last time we had you on, you told me that those, being in Texas, were not your favorite species of target. Is that still true, Robert?
Yeah, I still like shooting my sunfish.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Y'all don't get to shoot them, but we do down here. It's kind of backwards. We can't shoot catfish or redfish, but we can shoot sunfish.
Yeah.
But I still like shooting them. I like eating them. I like catching them. I just the waters with low waters this year has made it kind of hard for that, and we didn't get a real good spawn just because the water's low and all of our hydrillomats have covered up all of our sandbars and whatnot. So our sand flats that normally would have beds on them, they haven't really had a chance to spawn this year. So I haven't really been able to cater my time to chasing them. But I normally from March till about May, that's what I'm after.
Wow.
I'm trying to get some. I think 2 years ago I shot bluegill and a red ear that were 3.5 pounds each.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
I was just going to ask you, how big do they get? And that's
that's state and BAA world record as of now, but I'm sure someone will beat that at some point.
Wow.
We got some big sunfish down here.
Jeez, those are big tankers right there.
Let me ask you this, Robert. You mentioned that you like to eat them. We're up here in Wisconsin, and probably the fish fry capital of the world. What is your favorite way to prepare those sunfish to eat them?
Well, these sunfish are like the bigger ones we shoot are 14, 15, 16 inches long, and they generally have about the same girth, and they'll be 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. So they're comparatively a baby tilapia, as we consider it.
Okay,
sure. I've got a commercial fish scaler that I use. It's electric, so I'll scale my fish, cut the heads off, gut them, and then I'll turn around and fillet out the upper end of them, like you would any other fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'll fry that. And then I tend to fry the bodies as well whole, because down here, all the old school Germans and whatnot, as we call them, they like to pick through the bones and eat the fins like a potato chip and all that. I don't know if y'all do that up there or not, but
not really. No. That's interesting though.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, a perch over a pound down here, 2 of those will feed a grown person with surprisingly decent amount of meat on them. Even though for a little 2-pound fish, you wouldn't think there'd be much on it, but it's pretty. Probably 2 of them for a grown person, like I said. So we'll get down on a fish fry. I mean, we're not no slouches.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's very cool.
That's awesome. Well, Robert, you own is it Robert Blackburn Fabrication down there in Texas?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you do a lot of boat work down there as well?
Yeah, ironically, during the podcast, I had 2 boats show up, and they tried to talk to me. Y'all heard that. But right now, I've got 3 pontoon boats, because with all these low water, lakes that we've got with our drought, there's a lot of rental boats and whatnot, and they rent these dang boats out, and people will tear them up. People shouldn't own boats, and be renting boats. So get a lot of repair work from that, and I've got 2 Bowfishing boats in my shop right now, getting some work on them, and basically, if it's aluminum, we tend to touch it, and a lot of the repair work we do is a lot for the local boat dealerships and marinas and whatnot. So we stay pretty busy down here.
Cool.
I guess it's kind of a blessing in disguise with this low water, because it's considered job security. But
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. You also make some wicked fish pullers, don't you?
Yeah, I make some fish pullers for the tournament side of things for the number shooters, and also make some Oneida parts, some modules for the no let off constant draws, we call them, and stuff along the lines of that. and they've been pretty good success. Just try to cater to a market that's not being fulfilled really. There's a lot of evolution in bow fishing, so trying to keep it moving forward so we don't stagnate.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Very important.
Right. Well, Robert, we know you're busy. You had people in there wanted to get you to do some work for them, so we'll let you get back to your job. But man, we want to thank you for joining us again here on the Bow Fishing Buzz.
Yeah.
And telling us your story about the safety of everything and what it has done for you, what it has meant for you, to have this surgery or this injury, and through all the surgeries and stuff like that. We're glad that you're still back out there, bow fishing, and we're glad that you're shooting the safety slides as well.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all giving me the option to get on my soapbox for a couple of minutes and all that.
Yeah, well, I think it's important for people to kind of hear your story.
Oh yeah,
because you see a lot about this debating and stuff. You always hear about that stuff on social media.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we designed the AMS safety slides is for safety reasons. Yep. And like I said, you hear about people tied to the back. Nothing's going to happen, but stuff does happen. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, stuff does happen because didn't you not get twisted didn't it get tied around your string things or your finger savers on your string or your neck?
So, and I've got pictures and all of that. Granted, hard to show over a podcast, but yeah, whenever I got my bow was recovered because I ended up dropping in the water and everything happened.
Yep.
I got it pulled back out. It actually had a double half hitch tied into the woody wire around the finger slick, which in turn, after, like I said, all the studying that I did with slow-mo cameras and whatnot, when you shoot tied to the back, you have a loop of line that will actually is not traveling at the same speed as the arrow and the bowstring. And so because they are traveling faster than the line that's tied to your arrow, it is getting whipped around back and forth, and the vibrations of the bowstring, it's surprisingly pretty easy to get it to tie. And I have done, I think I tested 4 different kinds of lines and try to create line twists and not have line twists and different reels and whatnot, just out of the curiosity. And it was surprising how easy it was to get the line to tie itself. And the majority of the time it would untie itself because it would make a slip knot.
Right.
It either make a slip knot or it would make a half hitch. If it made a half hitch, it was snapping back or breaking the line, depending on the poundage and what brand of line.
Sure.
And it was a, I don't want to say it as a pun, but it was an eye-opening experience. Some line manufacturers and reels were more prone than others, but that's my opinion, and some people might say I'm wrong, but
right,
it's not worth it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're so once again we're super glad that everything turned out well for you, Robert.
Yeah.
You're back down there, and are you welding yet, Robert, yourself?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I went back to work probably a month and a half after my accident, and that was a pretty big learning curve. But yeah, I've been working full time since my accident.
Okay.
Whatnot.
That's cool that everything turned out well for you. And once again, Robert, we want to thank you for coming on and joining us about the safety part of bow fishing and hearing your story. Is that your dog barking in the background?
Yeah, that's my dog barking in the background. Had someone drop off another boat, and she's the guard dog. She got to bark.
Yeah. The only reason I'm bringing up your dog here before we let you go, Robert, is I see her in a lot of your hunting pictures, bow fishing pictures. She's in your truck. That's your companion right there. It looks like right there, huh?
Yeah, she's my best friend.
That's awesome.
She hunts and fishes with me, and turkey hunt together, and she lives for it just as much as I do.
That's cool.
Surprising. Like I said, she'll sit in a deer blind and not bark and be watching, and when she sees a deer, ears will perk up, and she's ready to go.
Wow.
She lives for it. But yeah, she goes everywhere I go. I don't take her on the major tournaments just because it's not right for her. All the scouting we do, but all my fun fishing and my hunting adventures and whatnot, she comes with.
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
I just saw her in a lot of your pictures. I'm like, I wonder if that's the dog that I see in the pictures that's barking in the background there. But that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
All right, Robert, we'll let you get going. Once again, thank you for joining us, and you take care and best of luck the rest of the season in your tournaments down there.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good day.
Bye-bye.
That pretty much sums it up, no pun intended, like he said, but an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, there is no debate between tying to the back and using a safety slide. If one of them has a minuscule chance of you losing an eye, then it's not a debate.
No.
That's not something that people should be promoting and saying that you should do this. Not at all.
Exactly. Yep. Another thing that I've been
safety.
seeing lately, Schmitty, on social media is, and this is, there's a reason that the AMS bottles are a certain size.
And shape.
And a shape.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot of people tying on, once again, those Monster energy drinks, beer, those 16-ounce aluminum beer bottles.
Yep. And using it as a bottle.
Using it as a bottle. Yep. That's not safe.
No.
All right, because the reason that you see the bottle here, I'm putting it out here on our reeler, it's on our table here. The reason that it's a certain size is because when you shoot, all that line is stacked. In there. That's why we have a bottle that we recommend 25 yards of line. And then we have a bottle that we recommend 50 yards of line. When you shoot, all that line coils out. It's on layers, okay? Now, when you crank that back in, it stacks itself once again back on layers.
Right.
All right, so the last bit of line that you're cranking in is on the top end of the bottle.
It's not buried under different layers of line. It's going to be the first to leave when you shoot again.
That's what can happen with these other bottles that are not shaped properly. They look cool and everything, I understand that, but they're not safe because that line that you are starting to, say you shoot 15 yards, okay? Your first couple cranks, sometimes because there's big air gaps in those larger bottles, that line that you crank in first might end up way at the very top of the bottle.
Sure. Yep, it's going to want to line itself up on the side, and meanwhile, you're going to be reeling in and lines going underneath it, and it falls over top.
Yep. So, I do not recommend anybody shooting, different styles of Gatorade bottles, energy drink bottles, beer, aluminum bottles on the AMS retrievers. It's not safe because they're made and shaped, like you said, a certain way.
Yep. I always say that they're kind of shaped like, if you have a little bit of imagination, they're kind of shaped like a pear almost. They've got a kind of a small neck and it opens up to the bigger side of the bottle. And that is 100% the best way for the line that we sell to stack itself in there in a fashion that it's going to, the first one in is the last one to leave. When you're shooting. So before we go here, Matt, I also just with the safety slides, got a little bit of a coupon code here. Help you guys save on some safety slides. As we mentioned, they can be the difference between something very bad happening on the water. Any of our safety slides, any of our colors, 2-packs, 5-packs, whatever you guys are looking to buy, you can save 25% off of a safety slide pack with the code 25SLIDE25. Again, that's 25 SLIDE 25 slide 25. That'll run for a week here. Head over to the website. 5-packs, 2-packs, orange, blue, yellow, red. Whatever you're looking for,
colors
all of our selections are good for 25% off of there. And hopefully, if listening to Robert, if you're tying to the back, maybe we can kind of push you in the direction of going to a slide, because that's the last thing we want is to have somebody have another accident like that. So
bow fishing is meant to be fun.
Oh yeah, fun, but safety is paramount.
Safety is
like
paramount.
We always say.
At
AMS,
we want you to have a lot of fun when you're on the water.
Yeah.
Another thing, Derek, is the AMS safety slides have the AMS pad print on them. We've been making the safety slides for ever.
Yep. We've had a couple people try to copy us and make a something very similar. We can confidently say that ours perform the best. They're the most durable. They're the safest. So, be looking for that AMS logo on there.
We want you to be safe on the water.
Yep.
Be safe and have fun. That's what it's all about here.
Absolutely.
You bet, Schmitty. So, what do you think?
56 minutes there, Matt. Ooh-wee. We always hover right around that hour. Well, it's no matter what, we're always around that.
But thanks again to Robert Blackburn for joining us here on episode 65 of the Bowfishing Buzz. And telling a story about bowfishing safety. Be safe out there, because bowfishing is meant to have fun.
Be safe, guys.
And a lot of bowfishing left.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tournaments, like Robert said, there's a bunch of tournaments coming up down that neck of the woods. I'm heading to shoot some stingrays in August next month.
Absolutely.
I'm heading to Lake of the Ozarks in a couple days.
You gonna shoot some fish down there?
I'm taking my bow and arrow.
Okay,
You bet.
All right, I gotcha.
You bet. So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.